Welcome to a new season of Portsmouth Now, the show that keeps you in the know about special events, festivals, and other attractions here in Portsmouth, Virginia. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. On this episode, we'll look at a few of the dozens of events on the calendar for May 2015. Welcome to our May 2015 episode of Portsmouth Now. Now the spring is here, lots of folks are spending time outside working in their flower beds or planting vegetable gardens. But what about those of us who love fresh garden veggies but whose thumbs are some color other than green? Have no fear. The Old Town Farmers Market is again open for business every Saturday from now through December 19th. Terry Danaher, the manager of the market, recently dropped into our studios to share what you can find when you visit the Old Town Farmers Market. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so it's May, and what does that mean?
It means farmers market. It's a big season for farmers markets all over the state, actually. And we have ours May 2nd started, and we run through December 19th. I've had phone calls actually over the month of April, people calling up and saying, is it open yet? Is it open yet? People from Williamsburg, people from Richmond, people from Virginia Beach.
Okay, now for those who have never been to the farmers market in Old Town, where you said it's on the corner of Court and High.
It's Court and High Streets. We wrap around the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center.
That's the old 1847 courthouse.
Exactly, and it's a beautiful location because there's the historic gates and the beautiful historic building, and there's a courtyard there that has tables and chairs. Very often there'll be entertainment in there. There will be displays there. The museum puts on things and we put on special events. And all our vendors are on the street and around on the sidewalk, all the way around High Street down towards what was the old Colony Theater. And we pretty much, by mid-season, fill up the space, and I have to turn people away.
Wow.
So it's, we've grown a lot. We started out with a handful of vendors years ago, and over the last 3 or 4 years, it's just kind of exploded, so I have a waiting list now.
Now, this is every Saturday, and it starts at what time in the morning?
It starts at 9 o'clock and ends at 1 during the main season. In November, when it gets cold and our farmers' feet start freezing on the pavement, we open at 10.
So what types of things are there?
Well, the obvious thing is obviously fruit and vegetables. We have quite a few farmers who specialize in meat and poultry. So we have chicken, turkey, lamb, beef, and pork.
And I bought seafood there at times.
Yes, we have a seafood vendor. One of the things that has happened over the last year and is picking up more now is we have restaurants that participate. So Menino's participates, the Artisans Bakery and Cafe participates, and we have a new one this year, Homegrown. They just opened this winter under their own name, and they're right there at the market. They're on Court Street, and they have, their policy is to shop at the market. And they serve food from the market, and they go to some of the other local markets, too, to fill in what we don't have.
Now, there are non-food items for sale as well?
Yeah, we have arts and crafts. We have lotions, soaps. We have jams and jellies, which tend not to be, the farmers don't usually bring those. Those are vendors who specialize in that. And honey, of course. Honey is big because a lot of people have finally learned that local honey can help you with allergies.
Right.
So yes, right. So I've gotten phone calls already from people saying, "Is the honey there yet?" You know, and I say, "Well, our market's not even there yet." But it's been a real learning experience for me, and I'm such a fan of the market now. I hardly ever go to the grocery store when we have the market running. Yeah. I buy almost everything at the market myself, and we just really enjoy the food so much.
Even if you don't buy a lot or buy anything, it's still just great to get out on a beautiful Saturday morning in the spring or summer, stroll around, salivate over what's there.
Yes.
Not buy it.
Drool.
And just get out and be around people. It's a great time to
It is. It's such, as you've seen when you were there before. The social aspect of it has been really fun to watch develop because of those chairs and tables in the courtyard. People will go and they'll grab a bite of something, a muffin or whatever, and a cup of coffee, and go and sit down, and you'll see whole, tables full of people just sitting there enjoying the day, the start to the day.
But it has a real nice small town feel to it.
Yeah. And I've had people coming, as I said, coming from elsewhere saying, well, they like our market best because of that quality, that small town social feel. But there's still a lot of variety there for them. I mean, we have woodworkers. We have just a whole display, different things. I've had new vendors coming up with things. We have doggy treats. We have organic doggy treats, and it's so much fun because the stuff that is sold is actually human quality. And the young man who bakes it tests things himself. He tests it on his dog, but he tests it on himself.
So if he likes it, figures the dog.
Yeah, and there was somebody who picked up a sample, and as she walked away, she started eating it, and he's like, "Should I say something?" But it wasn't a real problem because it is food quality, and it's a human quality, so there was no potential poisoning or anything. But they actually smell really good. It's hard not to take a bite.
So now, getting into the fall, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, and all, are there vendors that sell seasonal things?
Yeah. We have jewelry vendors, for instance, and some of them will specialize in, earrings and necklaces and things like that have a Christmas theme other than what they usually sell. We have people who do note cards. Special, Christmas cards. We sold Christmas cards this year. We have nonprofit groups sometimes who come and do stuff at those holiday times to raise funds, and they are allowed to operate free. And we join together a lot with the museums. As I said, there's a lot of cooperation there, so we push the gift shop, and the gift shop pushes people out to us. And several of our vendors have, especially the artists, have things in shops here. They sell at the galleries, excuse me, and they really do well, and the business creates revenue for the city, because they pay taxes, and it's a really good thing for generating both the business at the market itself and business in the city as people go off to go to the museums or go to the movie theater, go to restaurants. And just hang out and have a good time here. So it has been a really interesting experience for me to watch this evolve over the years that I've been involved.
Well, it's great. So if people want to come out, it is the farmers market every Saturday. Every
Saturday from 9 until 1 until November, and in November it's 10 until 1.
And then you're open through about the 19th of December, the
Saturday the 19th, the Saturday before Christmas, and it's a real treat then because there's a lot going on in the city for people to do. So. We just combine it all in one big place.
Well, thanks for coming here again, Terry, and telling us all about it. If you love exploring the great outdoors and observing the wonders of nature, then on Saturday morning, May 9th, come out for the early bird walk at the Hoffler Creek Wildlife Preserve in Churchland. Take a walk around the preserve with birding enthusiast Clark White. Learn how to identify birds by sight and sound. The walk begins at 8 a.m., so arrive early because gates close at 8:15 a.m. and late arrivals can't be accommodated. For more information, log on to www.hofflercreek.org. When we return to Portsmouth Now, we'll look at two events taking place in Old Town this Mother's Day weekend. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
our neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race.
Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Love is kind. Love is patient.
Welcome back to our May episode of Portsmouth Now. This year Mother's Day falls on the weekend of May 9th and 10th, and two big events take place in Old Town that weekend. The first is the annual Steeple to Steeple Tour, and here to tell us about it is historian Dean Burgess.
And I have been involved with Steeple to Steeple from the very beginning. It's almost 15 years now, and I'm here to tell people about this wonderful walk and how to find yourself a place on this great old walk. Steeple to Steeple takes people into the 7 downtown churches and the old synagogue. And it's almost been 15 years, and we have people who come back every year because it's really sort of intimate, because we only do it once a year, and it's only 100, we only do 100 tickets, and then we break into 3 groups. Each one has a costumed guide, and we go into each of the churches in the old synagogue. And when we're in there, you can sit down or you can wander around, and a docent shows you the treasures of the church and tells you the history of the church. And the churches are extremely diverse, a really mixed combination. And the interesting thing is they're an easy walking distance. So most of the churches, it's a 1 or 2 blocks walk. The only long walk is out to the synagogue, which is about 4 blocks and then 4 blocks back, but it's well worth taking that walk. St. Paul's Catholic is where we start, and St. Paul's, that Catholic church on that site has burned 3 times. The one that's there now is 1890s, and it has this tremendous collection of German glass windows they're all done as a piece. And when they cleaned them, which they did recently, they went back and found the company in Germany, and they got all the records of how each of these windows were done. And they're pictures. Each one is a painting, really, although that's stained glass. And then they also have some gorgeous sculpture inside as well. And so we start there, and then the synagogue is perhaps it's from 1918. And it was an Orthodox synagogue, and it's in the style of the Eastern European Orthodox synagogues, most of those were destroyed in the Holocaust. And it actually has a Holocaust Torah there, and these wonderful lions with red eyes that flash, and great stories. My favorite of the stories is a woman, as an old woman, remembered that when she was a teenager, the women had to be in the balcony, so she would walk around the balcony, see a cute guy down below, and drop something, so we'd have to bring it back to her at the end of the service. That's how she got her dates. And then we go on to Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. Emmanuel AME is, I think, arguably the oldest black congregation in the country. There'll people debate that, but I think it is. The church they're currently in was all built by slaves. All the woodwork was done by slaves. This wonderful cast iron railing was handmade by slaves pressing the images into sand, and they were a stop on the Underground Railroad. And year before last, I think, they had a group of African Americans from Canada who came back tracing the route of their escaped slaves, and one of the places they came was there, and they show you where they hid the slaves. So that's a wonderful, moving place. And then there's St. John's Episcopal Church, which is in High Victorian, with wonderful cathedral glass, and what's thought to be the largest window by Tiffany and Company in the country. And that Monumental Methodist, well, we have lunch there, and lunch is included in the price of the ticket. Monumental is the oldest Methodist congregation, continuous Methodist congregation in the country. It was actually, there's a front porch on Court Street where Methodism was first preached in the South, and it's the 3rd oldest in the nation. And it has a beautiful interior. We also have lunch there.
Okay.
This year, unfortunately, Trinity is not going. The interior of Trinity is not going to be on the tour because of major. We have to replace a roof and part of the tower, but I will be taking them into this charming collegiate-style chapel that we have that we now use, and that's normally not on the tour. And it show them the old 1762 baptismal font, and take them through the churchyard and show them the people who are buried there. Fascinating group of folks. Tell the stories because they're the Revolution and the war with the Barbary pirates and the quasi-war with France and the War of 1812 are all illustrated in that churchyard. And then the Presbyterian church is. It's probably got the oldest glass, though it's stenciled glass. It's 200 years old. And the interior is an interesting piece of architecture. And then Court Street Baptist is one of only 2 Baptist churches in the nation in the Renaissance and the Romanesque revival style. And the interior of it, you wouldn't think it looks like it's from Istanbul, from the exterior. The interior is all colored glass, even curved up the stairs, and it's all gold and surprise pink, so that when you're inside, it's like you're inside of a lantern. It's a beautiful experience. The minister at the Baptist church, when the Civil War broke out, had to go north, but he was heartbroken about doing it. And he's the one who convinced the Lincoln administration to put "In God We Trust" on the currency, in remembering the people that he left behind in his congregation. And all the churches are handicapped accessible. So we like to be told in advance if you have special needs or food needs. The tour, which includes the lunch, is $20. If you pay online, if you pay in advance with a check. If you go online and pay, it's $21. And if you show up the day of the walk, it's $25. It's a little dangerous to show up on the day of the walk, but sometimes we have some people who don't pick up their tickets, and we can make those tickets. It's the same day as the art show, which takes up all of High Street. And so you take the tour, and it starts at 9 in the morning and lets you out at 2:30, and you're right in the middle of the art show. So if you want to bring your mother for Mother's Day, you get a twofer. There are numbers to call, but they're on the website. And the website is www.steepletossteeple.com. Or you can just go into Google and do Steeple to Steeple, and we're the first thing that comes up. Okay. So www.steepletossteeple.com.
On Mother's Day weekend, the 2015 Gosport Art Show will come to the streets of Old Town. Proceeds from the art show go to support Edmark Hospice for Children. Here to tell us more about the show is Edmark's Executive Director, Debbie Steitzer-Brame. Well, Debbie, thanks for joining us for another episode of Portsmouth Now. You're here every May, and what is coming up?
The Gosport Arts Festival in Old Town Portsmouth.
All right, so how many years has this been going on?
Oh my gosh, this is our 45th year. Not that I've been around for 45 years.
I don't think anybody would assume that.
But the festival has been around. It didn't start out in Old Town, but we've been here now for the last, probably 12 years. Wow. And Edmark has been the beneficiary now the last 9 years of the event.
Now, you were telling me before the cameras rolled that originally there was an independent committee that oversaw the art show?
That's true.
But now it's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different. The structure of the committee is different. The chair of the committee is Shelley Brooks, and she's with the Visual Arts Center here in Old Town. And so she has that unique, keen sense of artistry that we don't have. The rest of us volunteers don't have. Although we have a couple of other committee members that were once actually showing in the show.
Okay.
They brought their artwork to the show, and since then, they've really, I think they've gotten an affinity for Edmark. It's John and Dorothy Bell, and they have been volunteers extraordinaires of ours, but they also serve on the committee. And then we have a couple of folks who work within the city, and then we have a number of Edmark volunteers that help us.
Which weekend is it? Mother's Day weekend?
It's Mother's Day weekend. It has been Mother's Day weekend since its inception. It started out that way because the original director of the show was Millie Johnson, and Millie had lost her daughter, Patricia. And so in her honor, her memory, you know, Millie had always had this great attraction to art, and she thought, how else better to honor my daughter by doing this and helping the community, helping a not-for-profit organization, but also remembering my daughter.
Yeah.
So what a lovely, you know, what a lovely story.
Yeah.
And, you know, having it on Mother's Day weekend, I know when Millie was looking for a charity to help support, she came across Edmark. She was introduced to us, and she felt like it was really kind of this match made in heaven, where here Edmark was taking care of kids who were potentially dying because of their illness or disease process. And she said, you know, my daughter would like this. She really would love it. But
for audience members who don't know what Edmark is, tell us a little bit about the organization.
Well, Edmark is and has been the only pediatric hospice and palliative care program in Hampton Roads. We were first in the country designed specifically to meet the needs of children with life-threatening illnesses. And since then, you know, we've been around for 37 years.
Wow.
When I think of that, and, you know, when just in healthcare in general, the movement of hospice and home care really has only been in existence for about 42 years.
Yeah.
So when you think about adults and that type of care being established back then, early 1970s, and then Edmark coming in at 1978, the families who really put Edmark together, you know, we have to thank them and applaud them.
The art show goes to benefit Edmark.
It does.
All right. You mentioned artists in the area there, but are there artists that come from other areas?
You know, we've been really lucky over the years because the show has grown and the awareness level for this show, and also the attraction to come to Old Town. You know, people, we're not just going to attract local artists. It's people from within the region, outside the region, and other states. It's a way for us who are very proud of Old Town and the city of Portsmouth to bring people in to say, hey, come take a look at what we've got.
Okay,
and during
the art show, there are several blocks that are roped off, so the artists display in the streets.
So I encourage everyone by 6 o'clock on Friday night, Mother's Day weekend, to please have your cars off of High Street, from Water Street down to Court. Because what we want to do is then we're bringing the artists in on Friday evening so that they're ready to start showing on Saturday morning.
And this is all day Saturday and Sunday?
All day Saturday, all day Sunday. If you want to come out, it's one-stop shopping for all you dudes out there who have trouble getting a gift for your wife or for Mother's Day. So bring the whole family. You're sure to be a winner.
Okay. And there's free parking, I guess, in the city garage?
Yeah, there's free parking. And the other attraction that we've done and we've built in is that there's some great local musicians. So not only do we have that artist component, but we have some great musicians, great food. What's a festival without food?
Right, and you were telling me before we started rolling cameras, you've got a few more food vendors coming in?
We have some new vendors coming in.
So give us those dates and times one more time.
Yes, it's going to be Mother's Day weekend, so come on out. Saturday we'll be there from 10 until 5, and then we'll be there again on Sunday morning starting at 11 until 5.
Great, so you heard it, so come on out and enjoy the Gosport Art Show.
Yes, please.
Thanks for joining us, Stephanie.
You bet, you bet. Thanks for having us on.
We'll look at more May events here in Portsmouth right after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Portsmouth Now and a look at events taking place in May. What would you do if you were an intern sailor in a foreign land on the eve of war? Did you know that in 1915, 2 shiploads of German sailors found themselves in that very situation right here in Portsmouth? Instead of waiting out their internment like prisoners of war, they put their restless energy to use by creating a unique temporary tourist attraction. Learn more about the German village that these sailors built in the shipyard itself, a very brief and very odd chapter in Portsmouth's history, just prior to America's entry into World War I. At 7 p.m. on Thursday, May 14th, come to the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard for the Bill Edwards Bodmer lecture, Enemies or Tourist Attraction, the German village of the Norfolk Navy Shipyard during World War I. The lecture is free and open to the public. For more information, call the Shipyard Museum at 757-393-8591. One of Portsmouth's annual events that's grown every year is the Emoji Festival, which will be held at the Intellos Wireless Pavilion from Friday, May 22nd through Sunday, May 24th. Recently, we spoke to Margaret Thorne about this, the 25th annual Emoji Festival. Margaret, thanks for joining us today on Portsmouth Now. So this is the 25th year of the Emoji Festival?
Yes.
So for those of us who maybe don't know what the Emoji Festival is, even what emoji means, what is the meaning of the word emoji?
Emoji means unity, and the meaning of the festival is to bring diversity and unity throughout the community.
So now what are the dates for the festival this year?
May 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
It's a Friday, Saturday, and
Friday,
Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday, yes.
Okay, so I know that there are lots of the entertainment, food. I know you're still in the process of booking a lot of things, aren't you?
Everything's pretty much done. We're still want everybody to stay tuned for our national act, which is going to be on Saturday at Intellos. One of the things we're doing for the 25th year, we're bringing back the Heritage Tour.
What is the Heritage Tour?
Which would be a tour of the Emmanuel AME Church and the Colored Library Museum.
Oh, great.
We've kind of changed the program format around a little bit, but this year we're going to bring the Heritage Tour back.
Okay, now where is the main body of the festival held?
At the festival grounds right outside of Intellos.
Okay, and there's, what types of things do you have? You come to the grounds, what do you find there?
It'll be lots of food vendors, retail vendors. We'll have some tables set up with some sponsors. We'll have a hospitality booth. We'll have children's activities, those things that children like to get in and play. Those
the bounce houses.
Bounce houses, things like that.
You got to have one of those and everything.
But basically, food and entertainment is what people really like to come.
What types of entertainment do you usually have?
Typically, what I've done this year, because of the 25th year, I went back and pulled some bands that started with this back 25 years ago. So we'll have some bands like Good Life Band, who've been around for a while, Forte Jazz, of course, Strictly Business, and we have some new bands maybe that are local here, Black Velvet, and then on Sunday we are hoping to kick it off with Piney Grove, who's been in it for a long time, and then we brought back groups like Favor and Peggy Brick with the Philharmonics.
Are there annual rituals that are part of the Emoji Festival?
Only at the opening ceremony, where which is on Friday at 5:15, and that's basically just for the elders to get permission for the city to host the festival, we'll have a little libation ceremony, but it's very brief during the opening ceremony.
Okay. Are there young people involved with the festival, entertainment-wise? Are there groups that do dancing or singing? Pretty much
everything. Music from for all ages. Everybody can enjoy it. This year we have, in terms of our elders, former Councilwoman Randall and Horace Savage, who was recognized through the Portsmouth schools as distinguished. He was given a Distinguished Service Award. But pretty much everything is for young, old, children, seniors. Festival's free. The only cost will be the National Act on Saturday, which is in Intellos.
Margaret, people want more information about this. Is there a number to call, or are there websites that they can go to for information?
They can call 393-5431, or they can go on emojifestportsmouth.com.
On Monday, May 25th, come to Portsmouth for the city's 131st annual Memorial Day Parade. A Portsmouth tradition since 1884, the Memorial Day Parade salutes services and sacrifices of the men and women of the United States Armed Forces and celebrates Portsmouth's proud military heritage. This year's parade will include floats, marching band units, armed force units, lots of excitement, and much, much more. For more information, call the Department of Marketing, Entertainment, and Tourism at 757-393-5143. Well, that's it for our show today. The events that we featured here are just a few of the dozens of events taking place all over Portsmouth during the month of May. To find out more about any of those events or about any events taking place in any month of the year, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com and then come to Portsmouth, where if you give us a day, we'll give you a vacation. I'm Rob Lauer. Join me in